Hey, it's Rachel Cooke, your modern mentor. And today, we are going to talk about the buddy system. It kept us safe when we were kids, and it can work similar magic for us as adults if we understand the real value of a buddy at work and when we need one. So listen up for my favorite ways to use a buddy at work, because sometimes a coach or a mentor just isn't the thing you need. As a kid, I loved school, but what I loved even more was field trips. On field trip days, I was up and at 'em early with my bagged lunch and my phone number taped to my back, ready to go. And while every trip was different, the one thing that stayed the same was the buddy system. Whether at a museum or a farm or the beloved safety town, that one was definitely my favorite, every kid had a buddy. 'Cause I guess losing 2 kids seemed harder than losing 1. Suddenly, each of us had an accountability for the safety and well-being of somebody else, and in my experience, it totally worked. I would always buddy up with my best friend, Jamie. She was the yin to my yang in every way. I followed rules, she stomped on them. I nailed my homework, and she nailed her homework to the dartboard. You see where this is going. For anyone concerned, by the way, she turned out amazing, and she's still one of my besties. But back then, we were quite a pair. And somehow it worked. It kept us on track and safe. But now we're all adults, working, responsible adults. So a buddy system seems ridiculous, right? Your manager isn't counting heads to make sure everyone made it onto the bus at the end of the workday. Except, actually, I think a workplace buddy system is maybe a little bit amazing. Okay, just hear me out. In school, the system was designed to protect us from getting lost or falling down or just eating something off the floor. I know, kids are so gross. But those were the dangers we faced back then. As adults, the risks look different, but sometimes we still need support, protection, and someone to pick us up when we fall down. Often our default is to seek out a coach or a mentor, someone whose job it is to educate us, to show us the way. And those coaches and mentors add a very real value, but they're not the whole picture. Sometimes the thing we need is a buddy. Here's how I use a buddy at work. A buddy is someone to hold my hand. I did love my field trips, but sometimes the break in routine would overwhelm me. And having Jamie there, just to hold my hand, it was just the reassurance that I needed. Sometimes I do need a coach who will ask me the magical question to unlock my thinking, or a mentor who's been there and done that, and they'll share their wisdom with me. But sometimes I'm just afraid of trying something new, or I had a hard day and I'm feeling down. Or I've taken on a project I'm suddenly second-guessing my ability to deliver on. And in these moments, I don't need someone wiser or smarter. I just need someone who'll sit with me, who will remind me of the hard things I've done and the landings I've stuck. In these moments, I call a trusted buddy, just to hang with me until I'm ready to move forward. A buddy is someone to expose me to new ideas. I was a rule follower, but Jamie, not so much. Rules were a starting point from which she would negotiate, and if you got her to follow half of them, you were winning. My way worked, but in hindsight, so did hers. She always looked at things differently than I did. She was creative, ingenious. She was always scheming. By the end of any field trip, I'd have kept her from landing in museum security, but she'd have taught me to look at a painting while lying upside down on a bench. Yes, she frustrated the teachers, but she pushed me out of my comfort zone and helped me to see things through a fresh lens. She loosened me up. I taught her that once in a while, following the rules actually yielded a nice outcome. We balanced each other. Often as adults, we look for mentors who've achieved exactly the outcome we want for ourselves. And again, that approach serves a purpose. But what can you learn from a buddy who takes a different approach to things? Are you a data hunter and gatherer? Maybe you need a buddy who experiments first and lets the data follow. Are you someone who makes quick decisions? Maybe you need a buddy who's more of a consumer of perspective, a processor of opinions. There's no good or bad, better or worse. There's just value in exposure to different approaches. So find a buddy who can do that for you. A buddy is someone who just lets me play. Every now and then, when an odd number of kids showed up, the solution was to pair one kiddo with the teacher. When we were little, that was actually coveted. Once, I was that lucky kiddo, and I was so excited. But it actually turned out to be the least fun of all the field trips, because I was so desperate to impress the teacher with my behavior and my insightful questions, from an 8-year-old's point of view anyway, and with my ability to absorb information, that I kind of lost sight of the fun that I was supposed to be having. Coaches and mentors can absolutely help us grow and stretch, but sometimes what we need is a little bit of freedom to be ourselves and totally informal, to name the first idea that comes to mind, to imagine and wonder, to throw a noodle at the wall and be ready to laugh if it doesn't stick. These moments call for a buddy. And finally, a buddy is someone to gossip with. On field trip days, there was always that scramble to get to the back of the bus, because the further back you sat, the more fun you had. You know, the teachers couldn't hear what you were saying back there. I know. Gossip is a dirty word, but I'm not talking about the mean-spirited, can you believe that dress she's wearing kind of gossip. I'm talking about the moments when you've heard of an impending org change and you need to process it, or you just encountered that blowhard of a leader who always tears people down, and you just need to vent. We filter what we discuss with coaches and mentors because we want to seem like team players at all times. But sometimes we need to be able to let our guard down and just real talk something. Find a buddy who makes you feel safe, who can laugh with you and at you and still leave you feeling kind of amazing about yourself. Don't get me wrong, mentors and coaches are great. They add a unique and specific value. But add some buddies to your toolbox who make you feel safe, supported, and connected, and to whom you can offer the same. And also, consider someone who will stop you from eating something off the floor. I know, adults are so gross. Hey, I hope you'll join me next week for another great episode. Until then, visit my website at leadabovenoise.com if your organization is looking for partnership in retaining, engaging, or developing talent. You can follow Modern Mentor on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, or wherever you listen to podcasts. And follow me on the Modern Mentor podcast page on LinkedIn. Thanks so much for listening and have a successful week. Modern Mentor is a quick and dirty tips podcast. It's audio engineered by Dan Farabend, with script editing by Adam Cecil. Our podcast and advertising operations specialist is Morgan Christensen. Our digital operations specialist is Holly Hutchings. Our marketing and publicity assistant is Davina Tomlin, and our intern is Brendan Pika.